The sun beat down on the deck, casting long, eerie shadows. The abandoned ship creaked and groaned, as if whispering secrets of the past. 4 sailors, Adel, Ali, Noor and Youssef, rested in the shade of the mainmast, their faces etched with unease. They had been exploring the ship for hours, each corner revealing more unsettling sights. It was a ghost ship, found drifting aimlessly in the vast ocean, a vessel of forgotten souls. The salty air hung heavy, thick with the silence of the unknown, as if the ship itself was holding its breath. They felt a strange energy on board, a palpable tension that sent shivers down their spines, as if unseen eyes were watching. Adele leaned back against a crate, closing his eyes. He was exhausted, but the unease gnawed at him. The silence was broken only by the gentle lapping of waves against the hull, a haunting lullaby. He drifted off, unaware of the nightmare that awaited him, lurking in the shadows. Adele's eyes flew open. He gasped for air, his heart pounding in his chest. He had been trapped in a terrifying dream, a vision of grotesque sea creatures with razor-sharp teeth and glowing eyes. They circled him, their cold, dead eyes staring into his soul. He looked around frantically, feeling an icy grip on his heart. His crewmates were also waking up, their faces pale and drawn, as if they had seen the abyss itself. They too had experienced the same nightmare, the same chilling vision of the monstrous creatures from the deep, their whispers echoing in their minds. Fear hung heavy in the air, a shared terror that bound them together, as if the ship itself was haunted by the same malevolent force. A strange sound pierced the silence, echoing through the empty corridors. It started as a low hum, a barely audible vibration that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the ship, as if the vessel itself was alive. The sailors exchanged uneasy glances. What was that? Was it the ship or something else? The humming grew louder, morphing into whispers, then into voices that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The voices called their names, each one distinct and filled with an eerie familiarity, as if the ship knew them intimately. Ali cried out in terror, his voice echoing back at him in a mocking tone. A wooden doll lying abandoned on the deck suddenly sprang to life, its eyes glowing with a sinister light. It moved towards him with jerky, unnatural movements, its painted eyes wide with malice, as if possessed by a malevolent spirit. It was an exact replica of Ali, a terrifying doppelganger, its face twisted into a grotesque grin. In the shadows, a figure lurked, watching with cold, unblinking eyes. Noor stumbled upon an old chest tucked away in a forgotten corner of the ship's hold, its surface etched with strange symbols. Inside, amidst yellowed clothes and decaying books, lay a faded photograph, its edges burnt and torn. It depicted a family standing on the deck of a ship, their faces eerily familiar, yet distorted and ghostly. Youssef's blood ran cold. He recognized the ship in the photograph. It was the very ship they were on, shrouded in an unnatural fog. And the faces, they were their faces, twisted in expressions of terror. He had seen this ship before, in his nightmares, haunted by the ghostly figures of the family in the picture, their eyes hollow and soulless. The captain's log. Salem, the oldest and most experienced of the sailors, cautiously approached the captain's cabin, his heart pounding with an unexplainable dread. The door creaked open as if inviting him in, the sound echoing like a ghostly whisper. The air was thick with dust and the stench of decay, mingled with an unsettling metallic scent. On a rotting table lay the captain's log, its leather cover brittle with age, as if it had witnessed countless horrors. He opened it, careful not to damage the fragile pages further, feeling an icy chill run down his spine. The entries were written in a spidery script, the ink faded but still legible, as if the words themselves were haunted. He began to read aloud, his voice trembling slightly, each word echoing with a sinister resonance. Ancient words, unholy curses. The captain's words painted a horrifying picture filled with dread and despair. The ship, he wrote, was cursed, a floating tomb of lost souls. It was a vessel of shadows, trapped between the world of the living and the realm of the dead, forever drifting in a supernatural mist. He described ancient rituals, blood sacrifices, and a pact made with an unholy entity of the ocean depths, a deity of darkness and despair. Salim's eyes widened in horror as he read about the price of the packed eternal servitude, the souls of the crew bound to the ship forever, their screams echoing through the corridors. The final entry was a desperate plea for forgiveness, a chilling lament that sent shivers down his spine, a haunting reminder of the ship's cursed fate. Panic and flight. Terror gripped the sailors. The ship was not just haunted, it was a prison, a tomb for tormented souls, echoing with the cries of the damned. They had to escape, to break free from the clutches of this cursed vessel where shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. They raced towards the deck, their minds filled with images of grotesque sea creatures, whispering voices, and ghostly apparitions. The ship seemed to fight back, the sea growing rough, the wind howling like a banshee, and the very air thick with malevolence. But their will was strong, fueled by primal fear and the haunting visions that pursued them. They lowered a lifeboat, their hands working on instinct, their bodies moving with desperate urgency, as if the shadows themselves were reaching out to drag them back. A ghastly revelation. As they rowed away from the ship, they dared to look back, their hearts pounding with dread. The storm subsided as quickly as it had started, leaving an unnatural silence. The sea grew calm, the wind died down, and an eerie stillness took over. And then they saw it, a sight that would haunt their dreams forever. The ship, bathed in the eerie glow of the setting sun, seemed to pulsate, its wooden hull rippling like flesh. It was alive, a monstrous entity from the depths of their worst nightmares. The faces of the damned. On the deck, where they had stood moments before, faces emerged from the shadows. Distorted, grotesque faces, their mouths open in silent screams, eyes filled with eternal torment. They recognized the faces from the old photograph, the family from Yusef's nightmares, their eyes now hollow and soulless, the faces of the damned, forever bound to the cursed ship, their spirits trapped in an endless cycle of suffering. They watched in horror as the faces mouthed a single word. Their voices carried on the wind, a chilling whisper that echoed across the water. Leave and never return. The air grew colder, and the ship seemed to groan under the weight of its spectral passengers, as if the very wood was alive with their anguish. Forever haunted, the sailors rowed until the cursed ship disappeared into the horizon, swallowed by the night. But the image of the pulsating hull, the sound of the whispering voices, the vision of the screaming faces, those would stay with them forever. They had escaped with their lives, but they knew deep in their hearts that they would never truly be free. They were forever bound to the haunted ship, their souls forever marked by the nightmare voyage. The sea, once a source of livelihood and adventure, was now a constant reminder of the horrors that lay hidden beneath its surface. And as the mist rolled in, ghostly apparitions seemed to rise from the water, their eerie whispers echoing in the sailors' minds, a sinister presence that would haunt their dreams forever.